Hey guys, it's Tanya D and my son Kai. So we're gonna do a story time thing. I did a question Q&A and I had mentioned I had an accident and which caused me to be very insecure about my mouth. I was in actually 3 accidents that damaged my mouth and left this scar here. So I will first say this one because my son was curious. He knows I was hit by a car. He knows that a family member got very violent with me, but he doesn't know the details of that. So he was more curious about this scar because I do have 2. Let me kind of go in there. I have this one and I have the one up there. Hopefully there's no bats in the cave. But anyway, so the story is like everybody has a story, from my mom to my little brother who wasn't even born. I lost my dad at a very young age and he also had a different story. But my brother was not even born, or he was just like an infant. So the fact that he has a story is really funny and entertaining to me. Okay, so I'll start off with my mom's story. My mom says I was in the bathtub when a bug, spider, scorpion, something was in the bathtub. So I jumped out, and as I jumped out, I slipped and banged my thing on the floor, my face on the floor. But my mom and dad both, it's gonna be my mom and dad's story because they were both telling me what happened. And so as I'm screaming, I'm running towards the door. My mom opened the door and also hit, so that's why I had this other scar. So apparently 2 traumas happened in the bathroom with my mom and my dad. My dad says the door didn't hit me in the bathroom, but the door in the car hit me because they were trying to get me in the car to rush me to the emergency room, and they actually slammed my head in the car. That's what my dad said, and that's what happened. I remember falling down, but I remember my shoulder getting like dislocated or something. Something happened to my shoulder in that bathroom accident, and I was way older. And so that's my mom and dad's story. My sister said I was jumping on the bed. I was jumping on the bed when I went to go try to jump from the bed to our bigger dresser, and I missed, and the corner of the dresser got my chin, and I fell, and that's what happened. My brother, my older brother, says also I was jumping on the bed, but the windowsill caught me and I was stuck there for a little bit. And I don't remember ever jumping on the bed and hurting myself that way, but that's their stories. My little brother, who was an infant when this happened, said I was turning and turning and turning around, you know what kids do, and then I slipped and fell, and he remembers blood being everywhere. What that had happened was with my knee. Okay, so I remember that happening when I was spinning, but it was my knee that busted open, and we never got stitches for it. I was a tomboy. If you look at my knees, they are totally scarred up. I was a major tomboy. I was in football, so yeah, but that's what happened there. Now the story, what really happened, I was at Head Start, and it was during playtime, and this boy's favorite color was blue. And apparently there was only one blue chair at the coloring paint station, and I sat in that chair because he was at another section, and he got mad, and his name was Louis. I remember everything about this kid, and he got mad and I wouldn't get off because I was painting, and he lifted the back of my chair and I slammed against the table, and he got mad, so mad that he hit me while I'm screaming because I'm hurt. I turn to look at him, and then he picks up the chair and then slams it against me. He did it upwards, and he got my chin. So I just remember blood being everywhere, blood on the chair, a teacher grabbing me, holding my chin. She ran me to the nurse's room. It was a ways back. I remember just running and screaming in pain, and they set me there. They called my mom. They stopped the bleeding, but it was busted open. They showed me a mirror. And why did they show me a mirror? Because I remember freaking out that how opened this wound was. It was so open that I thought I saw my chin, my bone. Of course it was the tendons and the tissue, but to me the white represent my bone. So I started screaming even more, and when I would scream and cry, more blood would gush and come out. And so my mom walks in and she's freaking out because my shirt was like covered in blood. And They didn't really see Louis do all this because they were helping. All they heard was me crying, and he took off. So that was that part of the story. And I remember going into the hospital, and I was young, but it was so traumatic, I remember. And it wasn't numb yet. They had put shots to numb it, and they were closing it up while I was still feeling it. So I remember screaming, just like them cutting it up. And then I don't remember anything else. I remember later that at the doctor's appointment to get the stitches out, they didn't realize I had this other one because there was so much blood. They didn't realize that this second cut that needed stitches was there, but it was already healing from the tape when it bandaged my whole chin, that it was already healing. So that's why the scar here is so much different than the scar here. But I needed 13 inner stitches and I think 19 outer because of how deep the wound was. Nowadays you could use like a couple, but back then we put there was a lot, and I was so little. And I remember this bandage and going to school, and they wanted to figure out what was going on, and he was denying it, but another little girl that was there is saying that yes, that's what happened, that Louis did it. And he ended up getting kicked out of the school. And then later on, we were in the same second grade class, and then he threatened to hurt me again if because people were asking about the scar because it was still fresh. It was curious. Kids are curious. And he says, if you tell, I'm gonna make another one, but this time it'd be on your eyeballs. That's what he had said. And I remember being so afraid of this kid. Like, you know, he threatened to hurt my eyes and cut my eyes. And to me, I was thinking, image, they're gonna pop out or burst. And it was just awful. And then later on, he ended up tripping the teacher and she broke her foot. So he got suspended, and I don't know what happened to him after that. I never saw him again later on as we went to school as we were older. But that is the story of my chin marks. Now I do have 2 other stories. Did you want to get up and go?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I
And another time I'll let you know the story of my teeth and why they are so messed up and the way they are messed up. But this is my story on this chin scar. And if you have any stories or traumatic stories, or what is the story you remember when you were the youngest? Like, what is the earliest memory that you guys have? I try to remember, but the earliest memory is this traumatic thing. That's all I remember, is being in Head Start. I don't remember really anything else. In Head Start, I know I went 2 years. All I remember is this happening to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoy this, and please leave a comment on your earliest memory and what you remember from the earliest memories you have, and or what is the youngest traumatic thing that happened to you. What do you remember at a very young age, that a story that you remember that sticks with you forever? Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to telling more stories and having more story time, because growing up my life was pretty crazy. And some stories are kind of a bit like this, and then some are very serious. And I hope that by me telling you what happened in my past, I can help somebody out there, young, old, whichever age you are. But those will happen more. I really don't want my channel to be about seriousness. I think life is fun and full of love. That's why I try to have fun, and I'm known as the jokester. I'm known as the funny girl, because that's the legacy I want to leave, that I can make somebody smile. So the stories that I have are really intense, and I don't like to share them because I don't want anybody to feel bad. But the time I did share, this girl said it helped her a lot, and she thanked me and said I should tell more stories, or tell my story more, because I can help a lot of people. But my kids know the story because I tell them these stories so they could so they know, and no warning signs, no stuff, and they could come to me whatever they want. But anyway, I hope you enjoy that story. And as always, thank you and have a blessed day.
Bye.
Bye.